Hey, horror fans, welcome back. It's good to be back on another episode of Week in Horror, June 21st through June 27th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Alex, and with me as always are Eugene and JL.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, everyone.
Did you miss me?
We did miss you, Alex. Yes, we did.
It hasn't been the same.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm excited to be back.
We're excited to have
Yes.
you back, dude. Oh, okay. So you got to tell us. Everybody knows. All of our listeners know that you were on vacation. That you were that your birthday was back on the 9th.
Correct.
So
a lot.
What did you do?
A lot happened in a very short amount of time. I had a wedding to go to. My wife's cousin was getting married in a town called Gackle, North Dakota. Gackle. If you look up Gackle in the dictionary, as defined by Webster, Gackle is the part of chicken that cannot be described as meat, blood, or bone.
So what is it?
Which the town was actually named after a farmer named, I think, like John Gackle or something like that. But I had to look up what Gackle meant on the way into Gackle, because this is a town of 287 people out in the middle of fucking North Dakota, eh? And it was an experience. First of all, getting there, I left the airport a few hours late because the plane was delayed, and I talked to the lady at the desk like, hey, I got a layover in Denver to get to Minneapolis. Is that going to be an issue? And she's like, no, the plane's going to be there. They're delayed too. They're waiting for you guys. And so I land in Denver, and I go to the gate agent, and I'm like, hey, so what's the deal with this layover? She's like, that plane left a half an hour ago. It's like, sweet. So
Damn.
I go to the desk, and they're like, we don't have flights out till tomorrow. I'm like, that's not gonna work. I gotta be over in Gackle, North Dakota tomorrow. And so we track down a flight. I get one of the last two tickets because there was like half of that plane the passengers hadn't even landed yet. It was our plane and a plane from San Francisco that was all supposed to get on that plane in Minneapolis. So they just took off without half their people. And so everybody bought all the tickets up real fast, and then I got one of the last two tickets thanks to my wife and her dad. They tracked it down somehow on Southwest, and so I ended up getting on this plane at finally 9 o'clock at night. Traveled for the entire day. I was at the airport at 11 a.m. and I didn't get into Minneapolis until midnight. And that's it should be a 2-hour direct flight. So it was already off to a bumpy start. And then we had to drive 6 hours from Minneapolis, North Dakota, to go to this farm to meet up with most of the town and get to know everybody. And, they have their rehearsal dinner and stuff, which was cool. The wedding was great. It's beautiful. Congratulations, Haley and Brooks. And then we had to drive 6 hours back. So that's already 12 hours from Minneapolis after traveling. And we get back to Minneapolis, and my wife had an interview down here, so we had to drive back down. We had to rent a car and drive all the way back down. So we ended up doing 30 hours of driving in 2 days, or I guess 3 days, because one full day was spent driving. And then finally made it back home on Monday morning, and my birthday was on Tuesday, and my wife went ahead and planned this entire party behind my back while we're doing all this traveling. So shout out to her because it was so cool. And it was my 30th, so it was a big deal. My family showed up. They brought all my favorite food, and my daughter and my wife, they decorated the house while I was outside mowing the lawn. It was all super secretive and super cool. And some of my friends showed up, so it was real cool. So I mean, it was an exhausting week. It was just a week long of just go, and yeah, but it was awesome. Got to do some pretty cool things. Got to see a lot of the United States that I hadn't seen before. But yeah, it's been a I guess a rough 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep, it was 2. Yep.
Yeah, you were out too.
I just haven't stopped, man. I finally get a second to sit down. I'm like, oh, thank God. And then I actually have to end up going out of town again this week, so it never stops. But I'm glad to be back.
It never does.
It was great. I got to meet a whole bunch of cool new people. got to network, and then I got to have a cool party with my family when I got back. So it was definitely cool.
Awesome. I had to look this up. So Gackle was founded in 1904. It was named for George
Gackle, that's what
a
it is.
farmer.
Yes.
A farmer. And apparently, they spoke German there.
Yes. As
okay.
did a lot of the North for a little bit there. I guess where I lived.
It is home to the Gackle Public Library.
Which I actually... Oh, no, I did see that. Yep.
And
look at the size of it, though. Look at the size of it.
That's all I got.
It was
total land area is 0.55 square miles.
0.55 square miles. Man, we could eat at the only restaurant in town and see both churches and the place where you're staying, and like that was it. It was like there's like nothing out there. It was the middle. This is a place, dude, where they sound the tornado siren at 2:00 and 6:00, signaling lunch and dinner time. I was outside, like, the day that we got there, I'm sitting outside, and all of a sudden the tornado siren starts going off, and I'm like, we are in the middle of, like, nowhere, farmland. This is the movie Twister, but of the North. Like, why are the tornado sirens going off? But it only went off, like, once, like, one, like, up and down tone, and that was it. And I was like, what the hell? So I asked somebody about it later, and they're like, oh, that's the dinner bell. Like, oh my God. These places still exist. But I have to tell you, I had a burger, a double quarter pounder burger at the Tasty Freeze. I think it was something. It was like the only Tasty Freeze or Freezies or something. I don't know. It was the one of two places you could eat, and the other place didn't open because they were a bar. They didn't open until 7, so we were eating lunch there. The food was absolutely fantastic. The couple of places I got to eat there, and I was like, this food is so good. My wife is like, yeah, because it's fresh off the farm across the street. Like, it's all fresh from the farm. And I was like, oh,
it doesn't get fresher than that.
Like, it was so good, though. The food is great. If you happen to end up just in that area, go eat at the Freezy, Mr. Tasty Freezer, whatever the hell it is on Main Street. That's a good spot.
And be sure to stop by the Piggly Wiggly.
No, there was like no grocery stores either. You had to go to this other town. I think it was Jamestown. It was like the next town, but it was like 40 miles away. So like to get to another town, it was 40 towns away.
Jamestown. That's the with the giant buffalo in it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. I've seen pictures.
Yeah, we drove right by the giant buffalo, and then there was a place there called like, oh shit, see, now I don't remember. It was like Alien Spaceship, I think is what it was called. It was like this arcade place, like bar. I was like, that'd be so cool. We should go there. Was that in Jamestown or Fargo? I don't know. We went through Fargo too. I saw all of that. It was insane. I used to live in Minnesota, so like I've driven up near North Dakota. I've gone in over the border before, but I've never driven into North Dakota. So I'd never seen any of the Dakotas before. I knew Wisconsin, and I knew Illinois, and I knew Minnesota and Iowa, but I did not know there was that whole other lifestyle on that side, that it was like just farms for 40, 50 miles, and it was just like, I got to go feed baby cows, and I got to play with goats, and we rode around in ATVs, and it's like, this is what I used to do like growing up. I was like, yeah, I'm at home. And then it got really fucking cold, and I was like, nope, I gotta go back. It was 90 one day and 60 with 40-mile-an-hour winds the next day. And the people that lived there were like, yeah, this is normal.
Fun.
No, I mean, not the cold.
Well,
but...
it's excellent to have you back.
Good to be back.
It was a terrific bloodbath debate that we had earlier.
Yes.
But so, just, I'm glad that you had a safe trip. I know things are crazy out there.
Everything else is closed. Really I guess, I don't know if you guys know this. Everywhere else is still like fully closed. I went into the Denver airport, nothing was open. Got to Minneapolis, nothing's open. They're like doing limited outside. People stand outside buildings and they only let like 2 people in at a time. I was like, fuck, man, Texas is fucking up.
Yes. Man, we fucking up. Yes,
I got to go sit down at a Chili's at the DFW airport and have a beer and like have a conversation with somebody that was sitting at a table down. And then like you get to Denver and they're like, yeah, no, you can have M&Ms at the little fucking window with the. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Texas not being smart about it. So, but yeah, we're glad to have you back. But too much heartwarming shit. Let's get to some horror
Let's
stuff.
fuck some shit up.
One thing that we did hear about, and I want to throw it out there, is this is really, really interesting, is that apparently Clive Barker is suing the production company that holds the rights to the first Hellraiser film. And he is suing to get them back. There's a little-known clause that basically in California law that references bargaining power for IP creators. And because they have limited bargaining power, because you don't know if what you're creating is going to be successful at all on the back end, you can't really ask for a lot of money. But then Hellraiser was a huge thing. Well, given that, and given a certain amount of time has gone by, Clive Barker can, under that clause, sue to get his movie back. So by the end of 2021, he may get it back. I think it's December 19th, 2021. He may fully get back the rights to the original Hellraiser film and that original script, which will be interesting because we may get another Clive Barker-led Hellraiser film, which is pretty much what, the success of the first one is pretty much what drove it. Him behind that is what drove that success.
That's pretty interesting, because it's curious to see what he's gonna do with that. Because we haven't had a Hellraiser movie in a long time.
Hellraiser miniseries.
Well, actually, yeah, the most recent one was Hellraiser Judgment, and it actually wasn't too bad. It was actually fairly decent considering all the crap that came before it. But I think HBO was planning something, and there was a planned reboot of the franchise, like going back to the beginning and doing it again. So this lawsuit could muck with that, or it may not. But if he does successfully sue, that means Hellraiser, the original Hellraiser, will be back in the hands of its creator. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I'm 50-50 on it. Because it's been a lot of years since that first Hellraiser came out. So there's no telling what Clive Barker might do with this.
Yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on it also. Obviously, I'm hoping for a new movie or something that could be awesome coming out of it. But I don't know. The franchise has been very up and down. So I don't...
Mostly
yeah,
down.
mostly down. we'll be honest.
There was enough up to keep it running.
I mean, 1, 2, and 3 were fucking fantastic. The minute they went to space, that's where it starts going downhill. And we have mentioned that before on this podcast. The minute you start sending motherfuckers into space, it's problematic.
Yeah.
That means you've got nowhere else to go.
Yes, it is the final frontier.
Damn, that was deep. I don't know. See, the problem is like, thinking about it, you can't just drop Hellraiser into like a modern day thing. It just would not work. It'd be like a fucking comedy if you put them in like modern day.
Kind of like given societal taste right now, the things we've seen, the things we've experienced, does it hold the same play as it did back in, I think the original one came out in... what was it, 90? When did that first Hellraiser? 87. The first one came out in 87.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, and so, obviously, the whole, like, sadomasochistic look of the Cenobites and the notion of, pleasure and pain dimension and shit like that, it plays a little bit differently in 1987 than it would play in, say, 2020.
Yeah.
But I'd still believe that they would still find an audience for it. That it could end up being like very niche, but I mean we've been seeing movies that go over the top, like with torture porn and other stuff like that. They'll still find an audience for it. It may not be massive release on AMC theaters, but something with streaming nowadays, maybe something on Netflix.
It could have a perfect home on Netflix or Amazon or maybe even Hulu.
Yeah. Something like that. That could be interesting.
Interesting stuff. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens with that when that plays out. Because we know how the Friday the 13th one, that took years. and was just absolutely fucking chaotic. But eventually, the writer of the original Friday the 13th managed to get the rights back. But the problem is, anything that came after that, he doesn't have the rights to. He has the rights to, like, Camp Crystal Lake, Pamela Voorhees, the counselors that were used in that first film, and the young Jason. But Big Jason with the mask and the machete, he doesn't have those rights. But because he controls the stuff with young Jason, that means anybody who wants to make a Friday the 13th movie, whoever has those rights, they can't use any of the young Jason stuff. So it's crazy. Who knows what's going to happen with this one, so we'll wait and see. But supposedly there should be a decision by December of next year. And one other thing, because as we said, and Alex, you mentioned, shit is opening back up. I mean, obviously, businesses are opening back up. Whether or not it's too early or not, we are seeing films coming back to theaters. And we are seeing, and of course, given what's going on right now, horror films are going to be getting the most play. People are in the mind to see horror films. People are in the mindset to see shit that's scarier or more fucked up than their current lives. And so,
which you're going to have to talk. It's going to be really hard.
Yes. I know we're going to get a deluge of shit coming in, and as theaters are beginning to open back up, we're starting to get movies back in. I'm really, really curious. What are your guys', I have a few myself, but what are your guys' the upcoming horror films that you're looking forward to?
So there's a couple that I've been looking forward to. And I know with everything being shut down, it kind of threw a lot of stuff off. So a lot of stuff ended up skipping and go straight to video, or it came out for like 1 week. But a couple that I'm looking forward to is one is by the producer of Get Out and Us, called Antebellum.
Oh yeah,
it looks interesting, especially with everything that's going on in the news, which I'm not going to dive into super detail about that. But it's an interesting premise to dive into, and the fact that you're getting people from the present that are going back to the past and experience that, it's really interesting. So
that is intriguing. Yeah, the trailer was haunting, to say the least. It definitely felt, because it's Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited about that as well, because this looks like a stronger film than Us.
It does.
Yeah.
Like it really does, and it's interesting because going back to that time period, and it's just, I mean, it could be somebody's worst nightmare. I'll leave it at that. It's just someone's worst nightmare. So I'm really excited about that film, Annabelle. I'm definitely going to go see it. And then another one, which I think we talked about probably a couple of months earlier, is the sequel, Train to Busan.
Oh, Peninsula.
Yeah, Peninsula. So those are the two big horror movies. There's obviously a couple of others that I'm looking forward to too, but those are the two big movies that I'm really looking forward to.
Awesome.
Okay, diving into to new stuff. I mean, obviously, we're all looking forward to stuff like Halloween Kills, and I'm personally looking forward to A Quiet Place 2, just to see how that goes down. And then there was another big one, The Conjuring 3, was going to be coming out too. Those are the big ones that I saw that were like, okay, yeah, I'm going to definitely see those. Two though that I have noticed, one was actually delayed, but Guillermo del Toro's Antlers. I don't know if you guys seen the trailer for that.
Oh yes. Yeah, I watched the trailer earlier today.
I
looking forward to that.
Yeah, after watching the trailer, I was like, no way. Like, it's cool because it's like a monster type, movie. It's a lot of like the monster aspects. There's obviously something going on with the dad, and it's like cool, but it's like something that's like, okay, I can't really guess what's going to happen in that movie.
I'm hypothesizing that it's a Wendigo movie.
See, that's what I was thinking too, because of the antlers.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm not 100%.
That's
sure,
hey, dude, that's one of my favorite, folklore stories, folktales is the Wendigo. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the other one, Chris Rock is in a horror movie. Did you guys see that? Spiral. Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. I was like,
Chris Rock.
I'll watch it.
Who knew that Chris Rock was a big Saw fan?
I know, yeah. Yeah, and then so like they were talking about like the inspirations that he took from like Saw 9. Yeah, I don't. That one looks good.
That's cool.
This is gonna be
It's
interesting.
because it's a reboot, you know, and so it's like.
Now, you guys already mentioned too that I'm looking forward to Halloween Kills. Obviously, we're all looking forward to the next thing in the Michael Myers saga. It's going to have Jamie Lee Curtis back. It's going to pick up immediately where the last film left off, and of course they're filming Halloween Ends. They're filming the two back to back, which is really fucking cool. Looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to Antlers. But two that I'm really looking forward to is Edgar Wright has one coming out. And Edgar Wright, one of my favorite directors, you know, the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. But he's got a horror film coming out, psychological horror film coming out in 2021, I think, called Last Night in Soho.
Oh yeah, I saw.
Oh, I need to check out the trailer for that.
It looks so fucking trippy.
The logo for it, I was like, what the fuck? And so they're like. Yeah, it was super cool.
It's really intriguing. It has Anya Taylor-Joy. You know, we know her from The Witch and Split and Glass and Thoroughbreds. So she's, you know, a veteran of doing psychological horror and really, really twisted shit. But this also has Matt Smith in it, who we should know as the 11th Doctor.
Yes.
From Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
And has legend Terrence Stamp in it. One of my favorite films of his is The Limey. But... Got a bunch of really, really cool, an awesome director, and a really awesome cast, and a really twisted script. I'm super looking forward to it. Definitely check out the trailer if you get the chance. And the second one is really a thriller. There's some horror aspects, but I actually would put it in thriller territory. Is this new one Unhinged with Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Road Rage movie.
The Road Rage movie. And I showed you guys the trailer before, and I'm super psyched about this one because... I love it when A-list actors get the opportunity to play cross-type, and Russell Crowe doesn't often play souped-up bad guys, like major villains. He doesn't often do that. He's either, Jor-El, or learning how to make wine, or being a gladiator or some shit like that. Who fucking knows? But the last time I saw him as a straight-up villain that I can remember that he was a legit villain was in Virtuosity with Denzel Washington. And now he's, now it's not an anti-hero. He's a legit villain in this one. So, and just the trailer looks fucking amazing.
It does. It looks really good. And you're right. I like seeing actors play against the norm because when you think of Russell Crowe, you think of Maximus. I mean, his name, Maximus in Gladiator. It doesn't get bigger than that at all. And so seeing him as a bad guy, and sometimes you get the creepiest performances are from actors that you normally see do good stuff, and then also they become a villain.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think of Maximus, I think of Beautiful Mind, as as Professor Nash. I think of Cinderella Man.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite of his fucking movies. He was so amazing in that. Things like American Gangster. Denzel was a bad guy again, but he was the good guy trying to catch him. Such good stuff. So I'm really looking forward to this turn as this road rage dude because I think it's because I spend a lot of time in traffic going from home to work, and you see a lot of shit when you're on the road enough. And you can feel it. Sometimes you get so fucking mad on the road, you want to do what he's doing. So it's like we see him in the trailer. Oh, he's doing some really bad shit. But wait a minute. I have fantasized about doing shit like this to motherfuckers. And it's like...
you drive on 35 too?
You catch me on the wrong fucking day, and I think that's what's going to make this one great is everyone can identify with how his character feels. Be like, yeah, this motherfucker, I will follow him to his house, I'll kick his fucking door in, I'll beat him to death with a fucking hammer. It's like, no, I can't do that. But I can watch Russell Crowe do it.
Yeah, because I don't know if any of y'all listening have to deal with the same bullshit we have to deal with driving through the fucking Metroplex, but sometimes you want to hit somebody with a tire iron. It's so bad. And that's, my wife is even like, she's like, you get so mad when you drive. I'm like, drive down here for like a day. And so I let her drive in traffic, and she was like, I get it now. Like, yeah. It's not good here.
The tollway at rush hour,
Dude,
yes.
it's just like there's no stop signs on the fucking highway. Why is everybody hitting their brakes?
Just because.
So crazy. So yeah, so looking forward to these films, except for the ones that you guys mentioned. Hey guys, listeners, let us know, what are you looking forward to? Hit us at weekendhorror@gmail.com. We'll talk about your responses on the next episode. Just what are the movies that you're looking forward to? Let us know.
Yeah, we'll check them out.
Yeah, start sending us some stuff so we can do a listener's email corner.
Yeah, it'll be so awesome for somebody to bring a movie to our attention, then we check it out. I was like, man, this movie is really awesome. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
We're always looking for new movies.
Thank you, backdooryourmom number 9 at gmail.com.
I really think 9 is with the series when the franchise hit a pinnacle. You know, it started dropping off after about 6.
6 was good. 7 was a little rough. 8, no fucking idea. 9, you know, it's just a gem. It's
Yeah, the same scene reimagined. It was a great take on that one. But you know what? We're here to talk about some horror movies. And so, JL, what do we got for our first movie?
Okay, we are going back a few years, not too far. June 21st, 2013, we're going to talk about the remake of Maniac.
Man, it's such a brutal movie.
Oh, yes. So, directed by Frank Calhoun, produced by Alexandra Aja, which we should remember from many, many other horror films. Yep. And then based on Maniac by William Lustig, and starring Elijah Wood, Nora Arnzetter, Genevieve Alexandra, Jan Broberg Felt, and Megan Duffy.
Those are some names.
Yes, well, a lot of them were models.
No.
So as I said before, this is a remake of the 1980 film Maniac, which was definitely a grindhouse sexploitation film. This is definitely more of an I think a very artistic, stylized retelling of that story, of basically the story of serial killer Frank Zito, who is an introverted, very, very sad man who's kind of dominated by his mother, and at night he moonlights as a serial killer who stabs to death and scalps women and puts their scalps on mannequins in his apartment, who he then talks to. So,
you know, like a normal person.
He's a crazy person. Seriously crazy person. And yes, Eugene, one of the most, I would say, a very, very brutal film. This ranks as one of the few horror films that legitimately made me feel uncomfortable watching it. And that was simply because of Calhoun's take of shooting in POV. And seeing the violence from that perspective, that it puts you in the shoes of the serial killer. Because you see Elijah Wood's face in reflections.
Yeah, but it's all POV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting the feel for that was almost a little too close for comfort. But I couldn't take my eyes off the screen.
Yeah, see, that's the cool thing, too, about that POV shot is, like you said, you see him in mirrors. But, like, when you're watching stuff like that, you're getting into it. And the character comes up to a mirror, you almost feel like you're about to see yourself, and it gives you like a sense of like connection to the film. And then, you know, it's the character, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't stab that person. Okay, good. That's what every POV movie that I've ever watched, you get so into it that it's like mirrors. That was a big one, is mirrors. Like when they walk up to mirrors, you're like expecting to see yourself.
It's rough because in so many horror movies, the camera is from like an observant view. You're like a third party watching it happen, so it can be really easy to disconnect what's going on. But when you look at something like POV, like why is the Blair Witch Project so scary? Is because you feel like you're there. And this takes it to another level because obviously most people aren't serial killers. The thought of being a serial killer is horrific. It's like, no, I would never do something like that.
Oh,
and then you're thrust.
People think?
Yeah, that's what normal people. At least I hope what normal people think. Hopefully, and then it thrusts you into the eyes of a serial killer, and you're like you're actually helpless
No, you have no
watching because
choice.
you're rooting for her. You want her to live
Run,
as you're
bitch.
attacking her. Yeah, and it's a weird dilemma. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. As you're like scalping her. I'm so sorry.
Oh, but that was a cool take. Like in the remake, that was a cool take. And you know, you got the original, which is by far, I think, one of the most iconic horror films. If you talk to any horror fanatic, they know about that movie. I think it came out in 1980, right?
1980, yeah, it was so fucking
It
extreme.
was extreme, but it was so like late 70s esque, like that dark feeling everybody was
definitely
going.
grindhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so incredibly low budget that most of it was shot guerrilla style. So they were shooting without permits. They were jumping onto their locations and just busting it out and then running to make sure that they didn't get caught. And so you did get an extreme, that grain, that definite rushed feel, that where the focus is predominantly on the sex and the violence, in order to just generate kind of pulses in the or to generate the pulses that are in the seats. And so it definitely was a sexploitative grindhouse film with no real art. Yeah, I mean, it takes a level of artistry. I mean, the director of this was a porn director.
That's how that motherfucker looked like Ron Jeremy.
Exactly. And I mean, the props to the guy, the actor who played Frank, the original actor who played him, because he went all fucking out. It was Jesus Christ. Joe Spinell, that guy fucking sold it. Just those eyes of his, and I would say there are definitely pros and cons to the original, because the original was what at this point in 1980, where few slashers that came after it had the kind of manic intensity that this film had. There was a storyline there. There was plot to Maniac, to the original Maniac, but it kind of took the wayside just to the effects, to the splatter effects. Whereas movies like Friday the 13th and this came after the original, came after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but those are all plot driven storylines. Yes, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of violence, but those are heavily plot driven. Whereas the first Maniac, here's a little plot. Frank's crazy. Frank was abused by his mom. Frank takes it out on other women by scalping them and attaching their shit to mannequins in his apartment.
Because that's what he fucking does.
That's what he fucking does.
That's okay. See, but the original had points in it too. Like, stuff I wanted to bring up too is like, there were scenes in the original that, because the remake followed the original pretty well, but had like a more structured story to it. The original, you had stuff like, when I was doing research into it, it was points like, Frank in the original, he's just a crazy psycho. He's got no idea what's going on. He's losing his mind. And then when he meets the photographer, Anna, I think, he's just all of a sudden like versed in art, and he's like super like smooth talking. And it was like, okay. But then you get to like the subway scene in the original, and that was like, when I was looking into this, that was a scene that a lot of people brought up, was the subway scene, because it was like, that was the scene in the movie where it was like, you're sitting on the edge of your seat, you're anticipating, you're driven, it's all crazy, this nurse is like hiding. And then in the remake, it was a totally different scene, but it wasn't like, it made more sense. Like, his relationship with Anna made more sense than the original. But then, so like you said, it's very plot driven. And the remake, I think, took that original bone structure, all of it, and just put it into a very well done remake. It's like hard to be like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch this remake and not judge it. But you don't have to in this one, because it follows the story, but with a more sensible storyline than the original one. Because Frank was just all over the place in the original, and then in the new one, it's like, okay, now there's more structure. It makes more sense why he's, feeling, and then he gets nervous like a normal person. He like, you can connect a little bit more to the whole movie as a whole. The whole movie
it does what a good remake should do. Is you take your story, you can adapt it to modern times, and you actually get another perspective out of it. I mean, that's exactly what a good remake can do, because it's a straight brutal film, but unlike a lot of remakes don't judge. They don't. There's not a reason for them to exist, or they're a
Right.
cash grab, or it's like whatever. The Poltergeist remake, it's a cash grab. No one asked for it. It doesn't need to exist. Whereas with this one, okay, I can see why this was made. I can totally see why. Okay, I want to take it. I want to elaborate on the story. I want to get a different perspective on it, and show the audience something new about the same story, and it works.
Well, yeah, and a lot of it has to do with Elijah Wood being the main character in this, and like you take this guy from his early stuff, and then you look at some of this darker shit that he does, and he's so good at all of it.
Yeah, he obviously, the biggest thing everybody knows him from is like Lord of the Rings, and one of the things when you're a main character in such a big series or big franchise, and you're able to hit on so many different roles in a row. We talk about the TV show like Wilford. He was also like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He's gotten to the point where he doesn't have to do movies for money. He's not trying to, oh, well, I got to keep doing movies, or I got to accept this role because I want to pay the bills, or I want to do this because Hollywood, I want to stay in the Hollywood limelight. Elijah Wood has already like ingrained himself in Hollywood to the point where he can do whatever he wants. And that's why you see him do some of these far out there movies, some of these indie movies, some of these foreign movies, because he can.
Oh, his most recent one, Come to Daddy, was a real twisted little indie film. God, it was strange. It was both a horror film and kind of a black comedy, and really, really strange. But definitely, and of course, he had another one. He had a zombie film that he did called Cooties, which is about kids that turned into zombies. That movie was fucking hysterical, gory as shit,
Dude,
but definitely a horror comedy. But he gets that opportunity, and not to mention that he's one of the minds behind Legion M, which is that fan-based production company that's been putting out pretty decent product. It was the Legion M was behind Mandy and The Color Out of Space.
Yep.
Or I think they were behind Color Out of Space. I think it was one of the production companies. And then also, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
About the same time.
They had a hand in that. So there was he's gotten himself in, like you said, he's been able to take on projects that he really, really likes. So we can see that despite the fact, he was Frodo, he was like, he's the kid in Radio Flyer, stuff like that. You think of him in this perspective, but then all of a sudden he starts being able to, kind of do what Daniel Radcliffe is doing.
Yeah.
Because we've seen, go
yeah,
ahead.
because I was fixing to say the same thing, because Daniel Radcliffe is in the same position where he's already raked in, and he's going to get a percentage of the Harry Potter franchise, is $1 billion franchise, and he's got a piece of that pie. So he's going to keep getting a paycheck every month from that for the rest of his life, a very large paycheck. So he's gone out and done stuff. We talk about there's like Swiss Army Man.
That was fucking great.
And Guns Akimbo.
Yeah, and
dude, I haven't watched that yet. It's on my playlist.
It's so fucking good, dude.
I've seen the scenes of him outside in the bear slippers with the guns. Like, what's happening?
Dude, the scenes of him trying to put his fucking pants on are priceless.
That and another one that I watched that probably not a whole lot of people watched was a show called Miracle Workers with Steve Buscemi and Daniel Radcliffe, and that was cool.
Oh, that was about they were angels.
Yeah,
right?
they worked for Heaven, and it was like Heaven was like a corporate structure, and it was fucking great. Steve Buscemi's like, he's God, but he goes to his family, and all of his other like brothers and sisters have made like these incredible worlds, and he's like coming up with these just ridiculous ideas for Earth, and it's great. So if you haven't seen it, go find it. It's good.
And I think you're right on that. Elijah Wood being tapped to play this. I remember Lustig, the director of the original. He really wanted to do a remake, and he always envisioned Tom Sizemore as playing Zito. He just thought, like physically, he just kind of encapsulated him. And, obviously, there's a lot of similarities between Spinell and Sizemore. I think bringing on Elijah Wood as so unsuspecting that it really, I believe, it, in my eyes, it drove home the idea that this guy could get close to you. He's small, he's unassuming, he doesn't look strong. Or maybe he looks wiry. But then you see the level of violence that explodes out of him, especially in the bed scene when they reshot the scene when he's attacking Rita and pins her to the bed and like that. He has a strength that you don't anticipate, and that kind of rage. There was such a cognitive dissonance there that it really sets you off in saying that this is a legitimate predator. And I thought sold it a lot better than having you, because Tom Sizemore is a big motherfucker. That's a big dude. He's fucking intimidating. Mm-hmm. Okay, the guy who faced off against Mickey and Mallory in Natural Born Killers, that's a scary fucking guy. But Elijah Wood, those big blue eyes, the small stature, people don't really take him seriously, and he plays with mannequins. Yeah, you don't expect it, and then all of a sudden it's there in your face. Ingenious, I would say, very, very inspired casting.
It really is, because it made me think back of when he was in Sin City. And
exactly, yes, it's Kevin.
Yeah.
And he was the creepiest one. Never said a word, never screamed anything. He was just moved in an unnatural way, but it was that baby face that he had. And he was just, in a movie full of creepy people, he was the creepy person.
Oh, fuck, what was that? His performance, Elijah Wood's performance, or I don't know, he never said a word, but Elijah Wood's performance that gave Mickey Rourke his best line, because he's running around and he's fucking up Marv, like left and right. He's beating the fuck out of like the hardest motherfucker in Sin City. Until finally he snaps those cuffs on. He's like, "Got you, little bastard. Let's see you hop around now." I'm sorry. I fucking love that line. It's so perfect. But he was obviously, especially after the dog is like almost finished eating him completely, is fucking just insane. Just that look. That, I guess that's, I don't know. Maybe it's his facial structure. Maybe it's his eyes. Just they can go wide. They can, he emotes like a champion.
He really does. Like, he just definitely does.
Emote
so,
champ.
given that the original Maniac is arguably, it was considered arguably one of the greatest slasher films ever made, and the remake was so disturbing that there are some people out there. There are some people out there who can't bring themselves to watch it just because of the sheer grotesque violence of the trailer and the fact that people are the director puts you in the killer's shoes. I heard tales of critics getting sick because they'd never seen it from that angle before. When you're outside of it, when you're looking at it as a third person, as the invisible third person or beyond the fourth wall, you can dissociate yourself from the violence. But in that perspective, you weren't getting motion sick. You're getting sick because it's you doing these things. So the ingenious nature of the remake, and paid beautiful homage to the original. But the fact that the original pushed so many boundaries and was so extreme, which do you, as the audience, prefer? Do you prefer the original or the remake? Because they both have their pros and their cons. Both of them excellent films. We'd like to know which one you guys like the best.
I'm nodding my head right now.
The audience can't see it, but
yeah, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Definitely. Hit us up, weekendhorror@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think. All right. Mr. Nodding.
Yes?
You have our next one. What do we have next?
We do. Hey, let's dive into the deep depths of one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. 1408 came out June 22nd, 2007. This movie... see, I'm gonna fuck up. Directed by Michael Hofstrom. Hofstrom. Michael H.
I've legit heard it pronounced Hafstrom.
It's
Michael
Hafstrom. but it's got all sorts of cool shit over the letters, so I was trying to be cultured, but apparently that doesn't work out. Directed by Michael Hastrom. Stars John Cusack, Samuel L. Jackson, Mary McCormick, Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, come on.
Shalhoub. I could
Shalhoub.
never ever pronounce his last name.
Tony Shalhoub.
Shalhoub. Fuck this northern accent, eh? Yeah, hey, Tony Shalhoub.
There you did. You pronounced it. You did it correctly.
Fuck me, right? Len Carew, Isaac Whitlock Jr., and Jasmine Jessica Anthony. This movie follows a skeptical author named Mike Enslin, and he goes to these places that have been claimed supernatural and writes about them, evaluates them, debunks them, whatever. He receives a anonymous postcard after he releases this big book, and it's showing a hotel called the Dolphin in New York City, and it has a message on it that says "Don't enter 1408." And he goes to this hotel. He's like, well, fuck that, I'm gonna go check this out. Goes in and regrets it terribly, because things just start happening one after another, and it just gets weirder and weirder. But essentially, anybody that spends time in that room is rumored to commit suicide or die in some sort of way. I think there was like 56 deaths, I think was the number when he went into the hotel. But by far one of my absolute favorite, the way that the movie was made, the way that John Cusack just fucking kills it in this one. And yeah, the psychological part of it is what really pulled me in, but it was just well done throughout the entire movie.
It really was. John Cusack's performance is amazing. He's always considered such an underrated actor.
It comes down to the little things in the movie. One thing that I always bring up is that this guy has so much, like, you can tell the kind of person he is because he holds a cigarette. When he goes to these places, he has a cigarette that he doesn't light because he quit. But, he's like, it's the habit or whatever he says to the lady at that one desk.
Oh, in case of World War or, something of that nature.
But he takes this, he's got so much self-control. You can tell the kind of person that he is before shit hits the fan. I love that about movies like that. There wasn't a lot of time for character development, but he did such a good job at portraying the character that you didn't need a whole lot of backstory. But his actions alone, the way that he acted, that cigarette thing, like you knew the character before the movie got into the movie. And so super cool. He does that in like all of his films too, and it's great. He's just so underrated, like you said.
He's an incredibly nuanced actor. Like everything he brings to it, both in how he delivers dialogue and in his physicality, sells that character in every single aspect. I mean, there are stories about how well he prepares in going in. That's why even the physicality of his characters is always different. If you look at the physicality of his character in this next to Grosse Point Blank, next to even if you go all the way back to the beginning in Say Anything, look at what he brings to his physicality. Look at what he brings. One of my favorites, Orange County. Was it
Orange County?
It was him and Jack Black. No. Or I'm thinking High Fidelity.
High Fidelity. I was like,
okay.
Sorry, my bad. I was mixing two things up. So I was thinking music. But anyway, you take High Fidelity and then take Grosse Point Blank and then take a movie like this. And then, of course, he's had films that come out after the fact. He had so many little ones come out, but he always brings a new kind of physicality to every single one, which is the mark of an excellent actor, because the body is the tool. And so, and then you contrast that. You contrast that with Samuel L. Jackson, although in the movie like that long, okay,
yeah,
but still
was a very important.
And I know Michael Hafstrom has said that he believed that if Samuel L. Jackson was afraid of something, the audience would be afraid of it too.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I do. I have to agree with that. But the two of them playing off each other was so fantastic because they both come from two different schools of acting. Whereas Samuel L. Jackson is find that one way, hit it the same way every single time, boom, boom, boom. John Cusack is like try something new every single time in front of the camera, keep adjusting it until we find what works. And so these two forces, incredibly talented actors coming together to create to create this incredible dynamic within this haunted hotel was just so brilliant. And this arguably is one of the best King adaptations that I think has come around in a long, long time. Before Netflix started getting involved, because 1922 was actually pretty good. So was In the Long Grass was really, really good. But I really, really enjoyed Gerald's Game was fantastic. But this one, this was refreshing because you didn't think, but you didn't. And what I loved the most was because King is huge on. Well, he has a very satirical look at basically humanity. The way he views morality and the punishments we do, and punishment kind of like, the afterlife and like that, is that we invariably make our own afterlives. That's a common theme in King's books. And the baggage that we carry with ourselves is what we carry into our afterlives. And so whether you kind of create your own hell or you create your own heaven, because it all stems from you. And the hotel room is very much like, given Mike Enslin's, history, his daughter is dead, he's completely lost any faith he had in anything afterwards. He's a total atheist. He doesn't believe in the paranormal. He's never found evidence. He's still searching, but he doesn't really believe that anything is there. And then all of a sudden, he's trapped in this, like he himself says, a Kafka-esque room. And where the walls themselves are reflecting everything that terrifies him and everything that he has tried to push away and reduce, or basically kind of like compartmentalize in his life, and it's all coming back at him. The walls are echoing all of his own personal terrors. And it just keeps going on and on, because like it says at the end, if you'd like this hour to continue,
yeah,
we can do this, or you can choose our express checkout.
Yeah, it's the fact that true hell is customized for you. And instead of this idea of, hell's fire, brimstone, all this other kind of stuff, that idea can hit people different ways. When missionaries try to talk to the Eskimos, and you're like, well, hell is brim and fire and all this other kind of stuff. Eskimos are like, how can we get there? That sounds awesome. I love that story. But with this, it's customized for you. It's all the things that you're afraid of, all the things that you keep in the back of your mind, all those regrets, because we all have them, and then they're thrown at your face relentless, over and over and over and over again. And that's just 1 hour. That's it. He was in the room for 1 hour, and you're like, that's a long fucking hour. That
if it was forever.
Forever.
That's why one of the scarier aspects of King's writing is the notion that hell is repetition. It keeps coming up in all of his stuff. It comes up in The Dark Tower. It comes up in Storm of the Century, and you see it as themes. It comes up in this, that what you've created your hell out of, what you've created your own hell out of, will continue to happen to you over and over and over again. And will you be able to learn from your mistakes? Will you be able to move on from that? And typically people don't. But we see in Mike Enslin a different kind of strength. Whereas he gets through it by basically succumbing to it and shutting the whole fucking thing down. And I love that. That's why I like the first ending a bit better. I like the ending that was actually in the theatrical release. That one was a lot better. I liked it ending on a positive note. A lot of King stuff either ends on dark notes or it ends on very, very neutral, very neutral notes, because he likes realism and the fact that the good guys don't always win, or sometimes they win at great cost. But in this one, he is able to fight through his baggage. He is able to get over the death of his daughter. He does finally have the evidence he was looking for. Not to prove it to the world, but to prove it to himself. And that there's something beyond. And so he has that, and he's able to come away, a stronger man. I like that ending, but there were other endings that were a bit darker to this, which I think played more to King's intentions, but not to Halfstrom's intentions.
And I agree. I like the theatrical ending better because I'm always fine with heroes dying or heroes getting objected or the villain win. I'm fine with that. But when you emotionally connect and you're rooting for him, you're passionately involved in rooting for this character, and you see all the pain, all the trauma he's been through, and you're hoping, and you're on the edge of your seat as the room gets more and more intense, and to have him actually go to try to destroy the room, and then the fact that he's actually able to make it out, it almost kind of gives hope. It's like out of all the bad things that have happened to you, all the trauma that you've experienced, out of all the things you regret, you can find a way out of it. And I like this. I like the kind of the theme of that.
And he did it with the classic American response, fuck you.
Burn it down.
It's like, fuck you. It's just like, I mean, heck, it works for Kurt Russell in The Thing. It works, for this one, it's like, fuck you.
Destroy with
like,
fire.
Fine. I mean, the American idea of the pure.
Look at it. The American fuck you. Light it on fire.
Just burn it to the fucking ground. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck you. Done.
How many endings were there? Because I know there's one he lives, there's one he dies.
I do believe that. I think that there were 3.
I think there was 3. There was another one where he just is stuck there forever.
In 2 of them, in 2 of them, in 2 of them he died, and 1 he lived.
Yeah.
And the one that got released with the theatrical one was the one where he lives. In the second one, he dies, and then Olin, Sam Jackson's character, goes to the funeral to try and hand his last personal effects over to his wife, over to his widow, and to Mary McCormick's character, and she's just like, no, I can't deal with it. And then he goes back to his car, and then he sees like the burned image of John Cusack, Cusack, and Mike Enslin appears. He's like all burned and melted and shit. And he appears in the rearview mirror. And it's like, oh, jump scare, and it just didn't fit with the flow of the film. And in the second one, Sam Jackson's character calls to talk to her, or I think he's on a phone call, and he burnt the apartment down. He burnt the room down, and he died in the fire, and he's stuck in the fucking room.
Yeah. So,
or maybe he's not stuck in the room, but he's a ghost, same as his daughter was, and he walks off and disappears with his daughter. So maybe he's stuck in the room. Maybe I don't know, but both of them, that one fit a little bit better, more with King's intentions. I think that's the way King would have ended it. But I like the way Halfstrom ended it. I like the he got out.
Oh,
no, go ahead.
There is actually a 4th ending.
Okay, I thought so.
It was shown only in Japan and then for a while the Netherlands on Netflix. And it's where he actually survives and moves to LA.
Really?
Yeah.
You can find it. I swear I'd seen that one before. But I see, I don't know. You're like, you guys are talking about, oh yeah, it's great because he made it and it was all a thing. And I mean, like, that's good for like movies and stuff, but I guess I look at these kind of things in like a darker, like, death would be a release. He's so hurt. He's in so much pain through the whole movie that like him dying and finding out for himself would make, like, it'd be more poetic, I guess. Because like,
well, I tell you, I can see it from that perspective. That scene when his daughter comes out,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden he's holding her like that, and then she dies again, and then the alarm clock goes off, and she's just ash.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That fucked me up. I was so sold into that. I'm sitting there watching. I was like, oh my god, he got her back. Oh god, now she's dead again. Fuck this goddamn room. this is fucked up. And then all of a sudden, the jump scare, the alarm clock plays the Carpenters again. All of a sudden, boom, she's like Ash, and it was like, oh. I think I went a little crazy right along with him, because then he flips out. He's like, fuck this place.
I don't know.
But moments like that, going from a moment like that, with his daughter, to, oh my god, I have her again, to, oh my god, she's dead again, to, oh my god, she's Ash in my hands. And just like, I think the scene when he's talking into the mini fridge, and he's talking to, and he sees the manager.
Yeah.
But we actually see what's really going on. He's just talking into the fridge.
Speaking into the fridge.
He's just talking to the fridge and doesn't see what's actually there. And he starts doing the whole, like, attacking the fridge and shit. His slow decline was so brilliantly paced.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, the whole thing, when he thought he was out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he writes the book. He writes the. I love that aspect. I love that little note. He gets out. He writes the novel, which technically is him writing 1408. He writes the story, and then everything's going good. He's going to get it to his publisher. He goes like that, and then finds out he's still in the fucking room.
God damn it! I never left.
He escapes again, and then at the very end is writing up a story. It was like boom, 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 boom. Like, it's just like, I've never seen you write that fast. Like, it's okay, I already wrote this one.
I've done this a couple times.
So it was like, oh shit! I love it. It was such a beautifully done movie, and obviously one of the best King adaptations. I hope I'm glad that Netflix is doing this. I think Netflix has a couple of more that are coming down the pike that they're adapting from King's bibliography. Hopefully they'll be just as good, because this is up there in the top 3.
Yeah. See, I just got King's new book. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called If It Bleeds.
I have heard of it. I haven't read it yet.
It's got 4 stories: If It Bleeds, Mr. Harrigan's Phone, The Life of Chuck, and Rat. And I just got it, and I'm so looking forward to. I got a long car ride tomorrow, so I think I'll probably finish that before next episode and maybe talk about it a little bit. But
that would be awesome. Yeah,
absolutely one of King's greatest adaptations. One of my favorite personal movies. Something I'd like to know from the audience, though. We've talked about all the endings. If you haven't seen them, go watch them. Let us know which ending was the best in your opinion. What do you think fit best with the film? What do you think fit best with? What do you think King would have wanted? Let us know. Touch base with us. weekinhorror@gmail.com. Give us a shout. Then hey, Eugene, let's move on to some more serial killer shit. We're going serial killer supernatural today.
Oh yeah. All right. So the next film that we have, it came out June 23rd, 2015, and it was produced by the ever genius Blumhouse, which is the movie Creep. It is directed by Patrick Brice, and it's basically everything is Mark Duplass and Patrick Brice. Patrick Brice directed it. Mark Duplass produced it, and then they co-wrote the story, and they both star into it. So it's definitely a passion project for them, because it's pretty much just the two of them. And which is not a bad thing. Two guys work together, put together a film, and. Mm-hmm. And it's about the main character's name is Aaron, and he answers an online ad and drives to a stranger's house to film him for a day. And then as the day progresses, his requests start becoming more and more bizarre, definitely as the day goes along. So
it's a lot more bizarre.
It's a lot more bizarre.
It's definitely a weird one. It's such a simple concept, answering a Craigslist ad. And for those of us aware, when in the heyday of Craigslist, there was a lot of wackiness, and there was a kind of, I would say, an air of, I don't want to say mystery, but an air of risk to just going to someone's house and buying things like that. And there's a simple idea. Go to someone's house and something goes wrong. And whereas the director, Patrick Bryce, pretty much based the story off of his experiences in doing journalism, and he had several incidents on dealing with Craigslist that kind of led to the inspiration of this, the kind of the people that you meet and the things that you encounter. I think because of its simplicity, that's why it blew up so well. And obviously, the performance of Mark Duplass. Mark Duplass is fantastic. It was almost, what I took away from it is it was almost too real.
Yeah.
This felt very, very like this could happen just, anytime, anywhere. Crazy guy, there are crazy people all around. I work in, I work in an apartment complex, and we got some crazy people that live there. But to this extent, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And obviously, when this videographer who's come out to film this guy, kind of encounters what he really is, the reactions of it are realistic. That's what I hate to say it. What creeped me out about this fucking movie was it was too real. It was so realistic. How easy it is to fall prey because you don't believe that you're going to ever encounter someone like this. And that made it, while this was an independent film, and I think they road showed this, didn't they?
I'm not sure if they road showed it or not.
I know it was a very, very limited release, but strong enough that it's already garnered a sequel, and there's Creep 2, and then Creep 3 is about to come out here pretty soon. It was released by the Orchard to an international release, and then an international release via Netflix. Yeah, this went straight to VOD, so it wasn't like this was a theater film, but in the vein of like 13 in the vein of think of like 13 cameras.
That was the porn they made after 13
which was
Candles,
was a voyeuristic serial killer.
Rule 23.
Because you never know what you're going to run into, and I think. And that's what got me. I don't know about you guys, but there were hallmarks of just being a little too real. Like, yeah, this could be going on just down the street.
Yeah, this is. It is. It's real. When you compare that to stories of people who've had survival experiences with serial killers, I've seen a bunch of them and people are describing being in a situation. Most of the time, it's a common situation, and you just never believe that somebody will go to that extent. It's a possibility. We all do. Every time you go to anybody's house, sure, it's the 1% possibility, but you never believe that it would happen to you, and then it does.
Yeah.
That's what's creepy about it is not only could it actually happen to you, it has happened to people before. Some people have made it. Some people haven't.
There's a few of them.
There was a.
I personally
there was a Craigslist killer, wasn't there?
Had experience with a Craigslist killer. The little town in Minnesota I lived in, Savage, Minnesota, back in 2007, October 25th, 2007 to be exact. A girl named, I don't want to fuck that up. It's Catherine Olson. Responded to an ad on Craigslist for a nanny. She was going to St. Olaf College and was just looking for some work. So she responded to this ad for like a nanny job, and she shows up, and this guy Michael Anderson opened the door and was like, "Yeah, it was my mom. Come upstairs." And as she was walking up the stairs, he shot her in the back, I think 6 times with a .357 Magnum. And then stuffed her body into a trunk and drove it down the road. Now, I went to school with Michael Anderson. When I started school, I was in a shop class my first year, and he was in the same shop class. We worked together on some projects, mostly normal dude, but definitely out there. It was later confirmed that he had Asperger's, but I knew this guy personally, and after high school, or he was out of high school at that time because he was like 2 years older than I was, and so I was still in high school. I was 17 and he was 19, and yeah, he committed this murder miles from my house, and then drove the body to a place that me and my friends would hang out with, over to Burnsville, which is the next town over. But the borders are real small. All the towns there are like only a couple miles wide. You can go from one town to the third town over in 10 minutes. And so he killed her a couple miles from my house, and then drove her a couple miles in the opposite, past my house in the opposite direction, and dumped her body there. And that was, I mean, this is a little town in Minnesota. It's a bigger town now, but when I was 17, it wasn't huge. And so just like to have something like that happen so close in a town where everybody knows everybody. Like I said, I went to school with this guy. I may or may not have been spent a night overnight at the county co-op, if you will, on a unpaid ticket, and ended up in the same area as this guy. The year after it happened, he was still in the county jail, and like, so it was just like this guy was right there the whole time, and he said he did it because he wanted to know what it felt like to kill, and that is just absolutely fucking terrifying. They went with the insanity plea, or with the Asperger's, but it didn't stick. So this guy ended up getting life. I mean, as far as I know, he's just in maximum security for life. I don't know if they don't do like the death penalty up there, but it just having somebody that close commit something so atrocious to just this poor girl. Just, I'm at college trying to make a couple extra dollars, shows up at this house for a nanny job and gets shot in the back 3 seconds after walking in the house. It's insane. And that didn't even stop. Like, that was 07. Even in 2010, there was the Craigslist killer Philip Markoff. That goes into, we could talk about this dude forever, but he ended up killing himself after killing people off of Craigslist. It's just the fact that it's like, it's so unchecked. Especially when it came out, you could just type in, I need this, and somebody would be like, oh yeah, I've got that, here's pictures. We didn't ever think to like back check the pictures on Google or anything. Like, you never looked into it. We didn't have like the expanse of social media that we have now. So just it's just go for it, and you trust that person's not going to fucking kill you. And
yeah, there was a time when it was very
happened
Wild West.
A lot more than you could ever imagine. I mean, they don't even have all the cases, but
oh yeah, I mean there's a Reddit deal with where I think it's like the horror stories of Reddit. I think it's it's this Craigslist horror stories where people tell all about the weirdness and the weird people and the strange shit that they've come across, the setups that they've narrowly avoided from dealing with people on Craigslist. They do kind of like internet swap meet, which you never know what you're gonna get. My wife and I have bought a few things off Craigslist. A chair here that we thought was really cool, or something that we were looking for. And there were some good ones. There were some good people. We bought a laptop off of somebody. Turned out really, really well. It's a MacBook. My wife still uses it, but there were some creepers that we ran across, and there were some times that we sold some things where we had to go and deliver it because the person couldn't come, and that's even sketchier because you're like, oh, I'm here to deliver this thing. Shit. Because you're selling to an older person who can't travel, but you don't know what you're walking into. Those horror stories were real, and just something as simple as that, blind, kind of like the blind date scenario. You don't know what you're going to get. Such a simple idea, and an old trope in horror, but worked differently. I think based upon the performances of Bryce and of Duplass. Everybody should know Duplass from he was on The League for 6 years on FX. He's played a variety of just kind of characters that have been the supporting or kind of in the background. He has just kind of a everyman look to him, but he generated, especially when he puts on the peach fuzz mask, which is so fucking creepy. He's just like and there was an almost correct me if I'm wrong, there was
Yeah.
almost kind of late 70s, early
Yeah.
80s kind of vibe to it. Was like you're watching like 80s home movies.
Yeah. Like now that I'm starting to think about it, I kind of see it. And
Yeah, it just struck me as like, what is it had what came to mind was the Wonder Years. Was because they do a lot of things with with the home movie look in that, and I got that feeling from watching this, like I was watching home movies from like the late 70s or the early 80s, and I just got that feel as that's how he was kind of capturing as a videographer, and of course the kind of the energy of the house, kind of the house itself, and his behavior all just seemed very anachronistic, very out of time, just enough to creep you out.
that's probably what that little notch that made it so real, because it's that home, that kind of home movie feel, that kind of 80s feel to
They're
it,
always
where
so
it's
creepy.
naturally, when you watch stuff like that, it's real. And so when you take a horror, you take a real, it's it was because you take and we watch stuff on YouTube and all the other kind of stuff, and it has a certain aesthetic to it. The home movie made aesthetic. It was like we're all familiar. Like, oh, that looks real. That looks home movie. So naturally, your brain assumes that's real. And so when he
I
shoot,
think it worked to really good effect in the Sinister films, especially the first Sinister film. The second Sinister film wasn't that great, but the first one was really creepy. Because all the murders were caught in 8mm.
yeah,
Yeah, so you're watching these people, either get hung or being set on fire or being drowned in 8mm, and that very very early or a very very rough kind of film, but that drives it home. They kind of
Did you ever see the movie 8mm?
Like I think those little
That was a good
8mm films, the
That
home
was
movies,
brutal.
that shit was creepy.
yeah, yes,
I did.
that was a good one.
Right.
That
And it was based upon the premise, I think, because 8mm is extremely difficult to edit. Or how do they place that? You can't do effects on it or something like that?
I don't know. I figured you would edit it like any other kind of film, where you would actually slice it,
See,
but I don't know in terms of doing like effects on it.
Yeah, there was some sort of deal, like that was the whole premise of it. Like, the video, it was shot on 8mm, which and it was a murder. It was obviously in that film, it was a snuff film. But it was shot on 8mm. And determining that it was fake, like it was camera effects, would be next to impossible, because would be virtually impossible because of what it was shot on. That you can't do the effects of today, that you could do. You can't do the effects that you can do today on an 8mm camera. That pretty much with an 8mm, what you shoot is what you get. And then tinkering with it afterwards is very, very is extremely obvious. So if it was a very, very good fake, it would be very hard to tell. I think was the problem with that, is that if you when you edit 8, just because it's 8mm, when you edit it, you fuck with it a good deal, and it becomes very obvious that it's fake. But because the film looks so fucking real, it's like, holy shit, this is 8mm. It probably is.
Yeah,
real. Exactly.
it's gonna be real. So you take that, and we have quite a few movies that have used ideas like that to maximum effect. You talk about like the Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity, where they're going for that realistic feel to it. I know, with Blair Witch Project, we have the found footage and everything like that, so it's not too like Blair Witch shaky cam, like full Blair Witch aesthetic, but it gives it a real feel to it. It does.
It's wild. Yeah.
It is. And so
creepy.
And so, we've talked about already, you already got Creep and Creep 2, and then we have Creep 3 that's coming out. And actually, I'd like to ask the audience, are you looking forward to Creep 3? I'm definitely going to see it anyway.
I'm actually looking forward to it. The second one was really, really
good.
So
it's solid. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. So, yeah, let us know what you think about Part 3 coming out. Now, we have a big one coming up. JL, what's our next movie?
Yes, we do. Yes, we're going to go back a bit further. I think
Yep.
of the three of us, I was the only one alive when this one came out.
That is correct.
So, June 25th, 1982. Sci-fi horror classic. We're going back and looking at the original The Thing.
Oh, love this movie.
God, one of absolutely, in my top 10, or I'm sorry, in my, I think it's I did a top 10 with Johnny O of The Plot Hole, and this is my number one pick. I know that there are many, many others out there, but this one, yeah, even better than Alien. I fucking love The Thing. We've talked about it before. Directed by John Carpenter, screenplay by Bill Lancaster, based on the novel Who Goes There by John W. Campbell Jr., starring a whole ton of guys.
A whole ton of guys.
Obviously, Kurt Russell is in it. No, what? Oh, this thing was a total sausage. This thing was a total sausage fest. I'm sorry. I'm looking. I don't want to forget anybody, and so I want to make sure. Starring Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, T.K. Carter, David Clennon, Keith David, Richard Dysart, Charles Hallahan, Peter Maloney, Richard Masur, Donald Moffat, Thomas Waits, and Joel Polis. Because every one of those guys in this film, of a story about a group of guys, a group of scientists in Antarctica, are besieged by a shape-changing alien that escaped from the nearby base where it was discovered. It takes the form of its victims, and to the point that you can't tell who is who. And the men have to band together to destroy it, to try and keep it from getting to the populated areas of the world. What can I say about this movie? Absolutely, I fucking love it. It's one of my all-time, I think it is my all-time favorite sci-fi horror film. The first in John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. And every one of the guys, every one of the actors that is in this, top-notch work. Some of the best work they've done.
Failed horribly when it first came out. Nobody saw it.
Did not start that way.
Flopped so hard, and it's crazy to see something that was so long ago.
Yes, it did.
Back in the 80s, when the dinosaurs were around. Just giving you shit. Something that came out so long ago. We talk about it.
Well, keep in mind that the film...
It was the worst movie ever, but it wasn't. Like, that was the thing. Is like we talk about it more now than it was ever brought up. We've talked about this. We've even done a bloodbath with The Thing. Like the whole thing was it, but it failed so hard. It was so blasted. So I was reading through some of the comments on it from the original movie, and it was like worst movie ever, wasting my time type stuff. And it was like, no, not at all. This was a fucking brilliant movie. And I think maybe it was just it had to be made then because of the movie. It wouldn't be good if it wasn't that old. But like it just needed time to like marinate with people and kind of reach the more sophisticated group. I guess I don't even know how to put that. It's so weird that it flopped so fucking hard and then ramped up still to this day. Talk to any horror enthusiast and they're going to be like, yeah, it's great. But that's not how it was when it came out at all.
It is something, and this happens with a lot of movies
that people were
where
to, like, change their
it's
ways
so
of thinking
ahead of its time. It wasn't, because even the creature itself is something that we haven't seen. We've seen Alien and all this other giant creatures and all this other kind of stuff, but something that is intelligent, that is independent moving, that you can't just shoot, you don't know. It takes all like your worst nightmares dealing with a creature and puts it together into one. Sure, we have aliens that take over friends, right? Invasive body snatchers. Yeah, we've seen that before. We've seen Alien. So yeah, Alien comes and kills people. Yeah, we've seen that. But something that can combine the two on top of revolutionary effects. It was ahead of its time.
Absolutely. I think the things that we talked about it before, things that kind of led to its downfall, obviously, was E.T. People want to see a friendly, see a friendly alien, and E.T. was so cute and so nice, and everybody fell in love with that movie. I love that movie. I got to see it in theaters, and the thing is such a horrifying contrast to E.T. Not to mention, and I've heard a few directors talk about it, was at the time the AIDS epidemic was just beginning to take off. I believe in '82 they were still calling it GRID. And the notion that a person could be dangerous just because of what's inside them. So there was kind of an underlying current of fear. And the Thing, I think, unwittingly played into that, where you have the concept of the blood test to determine who is dangerous. And that there was kind of a subconscious connection between those two things that people saw and people felt, and just kind of further drove them around, because this was almost a little too close to home. And not to mention, you take the kind of, taking the societal effects and things that are going on, art imitating life. But it was also a combination of these things, the depth of psychology of the movie, but also Rob Bottin's effects that really kind of fucked people up watching this one originally.
Yeah, so Rob Bottin is basically the one that designed the creature. The original version of it, Carpenter envisioned just one creature, like Alien. It was just one creature that could go and attack people. And Bottin brought up the idea was, what if it could break apart and imitate people? And Carpenter's initial reaction was, that's too weird. which kind of explains maybe why the film failed initially, because even Carpenter was like, no, that idea is too weird. That wouldn't work at all. And Bond's like, no, trust me. It will. And so when they started doing like some of the casting for it, and the actors are trying to figure out how to, am I the Thing? Am I not the Thing? And all this other kind of stuff. And Bond basically told them it doesn't matter because it's perfect imitation. So if you were, in fact, you would act exactly the same. And this was a man who gave it his all during the film. He learned to understand the great Stan Winston. And he ended up having...
Rob Bottin was under Rick
Baker. Rick Baker, yeah. Yeah, Rick Baker.
But you are half right. He worked with Stan Winston on creating the dog transformation.
Yeah, on the dog transformation. So Bond ended up getting to the point where he had a 35-person crew of artisans and technicians to do all of the effects of it. And this was a man who was working, it was like 7 days a week, 16, 18-hour days for like a year straight.
God damn.
And
he was 22.
And he was 22 at the time. We talk about his commitment to, first of all, practical effects all the way. And even there are times where the studio saw some of the practical effects and went, that's awesome, we'll up your budget. And then he would go and reshoot stuff. Oh, no, there's a way I can make this better. Can we redo it? So they would go and they would actually reshot scenes as they kept experimenting with latex and prosthetics and all this other kind of stuff. It's incredible. We don't see movies that use visual effects like this anymore.
And not to that level of dedication. I mean, I know that the people are dedicated as far as visual effects goes. I'm not going to slight CGI, and the things that they accomplish today using computers is fantastic, and that requires coding and it requires an extreme level of dedication to get that work done. But the blood, the sweat, and the tears that goes into creating those monsters, especially something as large as like the Blair monster, like the Blair thing at the very, very end. That thing was enormous and fully articulated, and it moved and was fucking scary and shit. So I will always take my hat off to the masters of practical effects: Rob Bottin, Stan Winston, Rick Baker, the guys who are willing to take the time to individually insert every single hair into the Bigfoot costume.
That was a fact that I did not know.
Yeah, definitely.
As Rick Baker did with Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah,
Yes, that every hair in that suit that Kevin Peter Hall wore, was it Baker or was it Winston? Oh God, now don't get me fucking started. Shit, I don't want to fuck this one up because you got to give credit where credit is fucking due. I'm sorry, I have to make sure. I don't want to credit the wrong guy. I'm quite certain that was Rick Baker. Quite certain. Yes, I was right. That was
That's
Rick Baker.
fucking insane.
So, and yeah, that the suit that Kevin Peter Hall wore to be EO and Harry, those hairs were each individually inserted into that costume to ensure that they laid the correct way, because hair does different things and hair lays different ways depending upon where it's at. So if you just lay them all like in a pattern, then the hair's just gonna lay a certain way. It's not gonna look natural. So those had to be laid, and so the inserts actually sit at different ways. Like, hairs don't grow out in the same direction. So you have to ensure that your hairs all come out in a non-symmetrical.
Right.
Well, yeah, there's a fair level of symmetry to it, but the hairs grow out differently, and then they sit differently at different lengths. So you'll get that natural wave effect, or that natural shaggy effect to a creature that's been living out in the woods for its entire life. So to create that effect, you have to insert every single one of those individual things into that suit to make that happen. And that level of dedication, I don't know if you see that nowadays. Maybe in indie films where they just don't have the budget, they want to avoid the budget of doing hardcore CGI or special effects of that nature. You may see it there, but I don't think to that extent. Like Predator, or the Alien suit. Harry and the Henderson, shit like that.
No, we really don't. The people, because a lot of times with the practical effects, you have to get creative. You have to really think outside of the box. Like with the infamous defibrillator scene, where he's using the defibrillator and all of a sudden his chest opens up. They actually recruited a double amputee and put in prosthetic arms. And they actually had the chest open up, and they used kind of like a metal mechanical jaw system that would clamp down. So when his arms actually go in the chest, clamps down, you have the amputee basically ripping the arms off. That's why it looks so good, because it isn't CG. It's not perfect, but it looks so real. And coming out with ideas like that when they're putting in stop motion to get some of the animation of the creatures running around. We don't get that anymore.
Oh, when those legs came out of the Norris head. That's what. Okay, a little known trick, and I love it when filmmakers do this, because once you've seen it and you recognize it, you'll see it every single time. Is running things backwards. And so there was a heavy use of that in The Thing. And the moments that are particular, like the Norris head, all of a sudden the legs sprout out of the top of it and then hit, and then then it starts scurrying away and shit. In actuality, the legs start outside, and then they get drawn back into the head itself. So that was a reverse shot, because to get the legs to land right, to extract them, push them out and make them land correctly, very, very difficult to do. Just have them already sitting out, and then just have them brought back in. And then you just play it in reverse. I love that effect because it adds a... how to describe it, Eugene, from a filmmaking perspective. There's a subtle level of movement, like watching people walk backwards, like David Lynch. Because David Lynch in Twin Peaks would record people walking backwards, and then... and saying their lines backwards, and then would play it in reverse, so that it would look like they were moving forward. But there was a weird rhythm to it that was just unsettling. And he did that throughout, in the dream sequences, or, in the lodge sequences in Twin Peaks. They did the same thing in The Thing, just run it backwards. I think another one was when the tentacles come out of the dog thing and snare the other dog. That's another one of those. The tentacles are already on the dog, and then they just get sucked back in to the Thing dog. Okay, or when the spider legs sprout out of the back of the thing, dog, and all of a sudden these legs start coming out.
Okay,
Also,
I
one of those
gotta put
beautiful
something in
reverse
here now
shots
that you
that just
bring that
adds a
up, and
level
it's
of
something that's
creepiness
always bothered
that
me.
you don't
and I've never,
expect because they don't move
It
naturally.
was something that was pointed out to me by my dad a long time ago, and it always bothered the shit out of me. And if the audience knows, or if you know, I would like to know. Fire. Why is fire always going backwards in movies? If you look, if you look at pretty much any movie that has fire in it,
You
it's
mean
not
why is
something I
it
noticed until my dad
going
pointed it out.
down instead of going
If
out?
you look at fire in TV shows, movies, pretty much anything that records fire, I have failed to find more than 3 instances where I could not prove that it was going backwards. But it's always going backwards. Instead of like flaming up, it's flaming backwards. Now that I've said it, you're gonna start fucking noticing it in movies. I don't understand, but it's like a thing. It's like a for real thing. I watch for it every time I see fire. You watch for it, the fire goes backwards, and I don't know if it's because of like, because I know like if you like record stuff on video, sometimes it won't. Like if you're running something on a computer and you're recording it from your phone, sometimes it'll look like it's like going down instead of up. But like I don't know if it's like from I don't know if it's on purpose or not. But fire, just watch for it now. I'm thinking like fire pits, fireplaces.
Well, I'm thinking of all the movies I've seen people light torches in.
I think
Like they have
has
flaming torches.
to
I've
be.
seen.
But you mentioned backward
Yeah,
shots, and I had to bring it
that
up
may
because
be
it's something
an
that's
effect of
bothered
the
me
camera.
for fucking decades.
So-
Like,
I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like you. Well, it's kind of like watching a wheel go forward, and then your perspective
that's
switches,
what I'm
and
thinking,
then
like
you
emotions
see
effect,
the
just
wheel
because
looks
of
like
the
it's
way
moving
that the camera
backwards,
records.
but you know
but
it's
still,
moving
like
forwards.
look, because you
It
would
may
think that would
fall
be
along
something that
those
would
lines.
change throughout the
I'm
years.
just guessing there. I've never.
But I'm talking 70s movies and 2000s movies. I've watched them all.
I seriously, when you brought this up, I seriously thought you were going to ask, what because it concerned me too when I first saw it. When the dog thing changes and it squirts all that shit at the other dog, and it's like spraying the other dog with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought you were going to ask, like, what was that? I was so worried about that dog because that dog obviously didn't like that. What the hell was going on? And he's like spraying the dog. It's like, oh, they're spraying a dog with some physical shit. I don't know what that shit is. I thought you were going to ask me what it was because I laughed out loud when I found out. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
Huh.
It's the liquid
So
form
it was
of what they
delicious.
put in Twinkies before they aerate it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's literally the liquid form of the stuff that they aerate when they basically whip it into a Twinkie. So that stuff in liquid form, that's what they sprayed all over the dog.
Huh. Learn something new.
And I think they added a little coloring to it to make it like a light purple, because normally it's shock white, but they add a little coloring to make it purple. But it's pretty much the liquid shit that they use to fill Twinkies when they aerate it. They just got the liquid version of it and just spread it all over the place like it was some sort of alien shit. See, it's cool things like that. It's innovative, out of the box thinking that solidified Rob Bottin. I think he retired in 2014. The last movie he worked on was not a great one. I think he just did basic level effects. Nothing. It was a movie called Serving Sarah. I was actually an extra in that film, which is fucking crazy. But but that was the last film on his filmography, and I think he retired. But he had a fantastic run. I mean, he worked on fucking Hellboy. Oh, sorry, he worked on fucking Legend. I was thinking Big Horns. He worked on Legend. He worked on RoboCop. A whole slew of just major films.
Yeah, he is definitely one of the best. And as you can see, him being, he said it was like 21, 22 when he did the thing. 22. Yeah. And he's willing to come up with effects like that and put in the effort to the point where it almost killed him.
He needed a banana bag.
Yeah, because he was hospitalized after production was over from just pure exhaustion.
Yeah, I was
what
raising
were
a
you
child,
doing when you were
I
22?
I feel his pain.
Because Rob Bottin nearly killed himself
a brand
to make
new
a horror
baby.
movie.
Oh no, that's when I started my career at Quick Trip, so I was definitely killing myself.
That's funny. But yeah, hats off to effects. But definitely hats off to effects master Rob Bottin. That's one thing I want to bring up. I want to ask the audience.
Hell yeah.
So we were sitting there talking about, we were talking a few months ago about whether we wanted to see another Thing movie. Well, another one has been announced. The details are slim, but another one has been announced. And my question to the audience, after the 2011 one, which I didn't mind, but I thought it was just kind of like an updated version of the original. It just kind of it wasn't really a prequel. It was more of a remake in my eyes. But I still enjoyed it. I still liked it. I just wish they'd done more practical effects than the CGI shit. Do we want another Thing movie? That's a big question. This is it. The Thing is a classic. It's one of the greatest sci-fi horror films ever made, if not the greatest sci-fi horror film ever made. Some people say Alien. I'll probably say The Thing. But do we want another one? Do we need a third one? Where could they fucking go with it? Who fucking knows? But I want to hear what you guys think. weekinhorror@gmail.com. You let us know. Love to hear your opinions. Another one coming out. And of course, as more details come out, we'll probably let you know about that too.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
That's me.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, Alex, you have our final film of the week.
And then you get...
That's you.
then you
I gave you two.
one.
I gave you two this week because we were missing you so bad. And I gave you a special one. I knew you'd enjoy it.
You're gonna hate the way that I described this movie.
Welcome
We're
back.
talking about The Pit
I thought you liked this
and
shit.
The Pendulum. Came out June 27th, 1991. I was 1 year old. Just turned 1. Damn, son.
Yes, you were.
Oh.
I was
After
11.
mommy and daddy went to bed.
I caught this fucker on late night.
This movie was
There's a reason for that.
right after the fucking
After they went to bed. Oh yeah. On the Scramble Channel.
The 1991 Pit the Pendulum, which was released on DVD in the United States as The Inquisitor.
All right.
Was directed by Stuart Gordon, starred Lance Henriksen. Yeah. Recently passed, yep. Starred Lance Henriksen, Rona
Rest in
DeRicci,
peace.
Jonathan Fuller,
He
Francis
recently
Bay, Mark
passed away.
Margolius, Jeffrey Combs, Stephen Lee, Tom Tolles. The Doctor was William Norris. And then Benito Stefanelli as the executioner and Jeffrey Copleston as the butcher. Took place in a 1492 Spain. This is so hard to like, just because of the movie. A woman speaks out during a public execution, and this monk, he was a monk, right? Torquemada.
You're talking about
The Grand
Hendrix's
Inquisitor
character?
was tempted by Maria's beauty.
Torquemada, yeah.
And,
The Grand Inquisitor.
long story short, this mad monk wants this woman in his torture chamber. She's accused of witchcraft and gets jailed and meets another witch in jail, and then her husband Antonio tries to come and save her and gets captured and becomes the victim to this new torture device, the Pit and the Pendulum. Obviously after Edgar Allan Poe's 1842 short story, which this movie actually kind of ties a lot of other Poe inspirations into it, which is cool. It is a remake, I believe. The 91 one was definitely... It was a remake. They made another Pit and the Pendulum, didn't they? Yeah. It's I guess a reimagining of...
I'd say another version, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and there's boobs.
yeah,
and
with it, but
bush,
not as
and it's
artistic,
just
but definitely with the Stuart Gordon.
It's a 1991 finding sexploitation film for sure. There's so much. Oh my god.
Yeah, 1991, so definitely Bush.
There's a different kind of bush.
There was definitely
people
Bush.
started getting
Not as
creative
much
with
Bush
the
as the
bush.
70s, but definitely some 90s Bush.
It's a more
So
sophisticated
the 70s,
bush.
it was free-range Bush. But in the 90s, They started like kind of doing things to the bush, making shapes out of it, and quaffing that motherfucker.
So
Nowadays,
Man, I almost
it's a
took that
land-
way
it's
too
either a
far.
landing strip or
Anyways.
not.
Oh. Yeah. Shit. That's the late night podcast.
Different podcast.
All right.
Well, it's definitely given its director Stuart Gordon.
There was so much witch tit in this movie.
You
It
know,
wasn't
obviously
even funny.
an ample amount of boobies and bush, just crazy weirdness like that. Much witch tit. Certainly not cold witch tit. Yeah, there was some hotness in this one, but definitely one of the definitely a sexploitation film. Towards the end of the sexploitation kind of movement, because the further we got in, this kind of this kind of area, I think, started. What was it, Eugene? You say it probably started up in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah, so you have the sexploitation films. Oh yeah. And so you have the sexploitation films, and they started in the 60s, in kind of that before the MPAA and after it was like the code. It was that kind of gray area in the 60s. And so typically with sexploitation films, they're kind of like grindhouse style, and they would go and they'll use nudity to
But hey, there's
pull in
tits.
people to go see their films. They're not big studio films, but they want to appeal to an audience. And so they really kind of had, but hey, there's tits.
Well, there was a landmark court case that was behind that. I think it was in 1957, I think, but it was Roth versus United States that established that sex and obscenity were not synonymous. And then, boom! Once that court case came down, I think it was the Supreme Court. Once that ruling came down, they were off and fucking.
Oh yeah,
it's like, whoa, sex all day long, and it's not obscene.
Oh yeah, at first they were called nudie cuties.
I fucking love that name. I don't know why I love that name, but it's fucking hysterical.
And
like, just I don't know, just because they're I don't know, they're cute. I don't know.
They're cuties. That's what you go for. This is an age before the internet, so people went to actual theaters to see stuff like this, and so they actually had a good following in like the 60s. When you had films, it was like Daughter of the Sun and the Twilight Girls, and
the immoral Mr. T.
Yeah, the immoral Mr. T's.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and because that one came out shortly after the court ruling, and they end up becoming big until the 70s, and then what ended up happening was then you started getting hardcore like XXX theaters, and then the MPAA started coming in and started regulating what you can show in trailers. So, it was. So it's like, well, you can't show nudity in the trailers anymore, and then for the people who are going straight for the nudie cutie side are just going to go straight for the hardcore. So the genre ended up kind of dying off, it was weird because the genre died off in the 70s and this movie came out in 91.
I think there were still some tropes that wanted to play with it, whereas if your storylines couldn't really sell it, or if you were, and it's so sad that it happened to something, to stories like Poe, because this was based off the Cask of Amontillado and the Pit and the Pendulum, and there were smatterings. It definitely had hallmarks of Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It just kind of picked and choose from all over the place. The gothic horror is what it was. But to sell the storyline, you got to put tits and ass in it, and it's a shame that you have to. But at the time in the 90s, nobody was fucking paying attention to things. You wouldn't see fucking Lovecraft movies unless that's what Stuart Gordon was doing. Stuart Gordon was trying to make movies based upon what he liked, which was Lovecraftian goth, which was like basically Eastern post-colonial. Gothic horror. He loved that content. The things that Lovecraft comes from, the things that Shelley came from, Poe, the things that would inspire Stephen King. He loved that. He did several Lovecraft adaptations. One of his best ones was Dagon, but he did several. Some of them not so great. But there's a way. There's not really an audience for that in the 90s So you got to put something in it to sell it, and sometimes you got to put tits in it. You got to put writhing naked females in there, and then Lance Henriksen just sweating bad, because he wants him so, much. So you got to make it a little lurid to kind of bring people in. Otherwise, because you're not going to sell them with a fucking story. Not at that time. Not in the 90s. Maybe today, but not back then.
Yeah, not back then. It wasn't in. And he liked pushing the envelope to begin with because, he directed Reanimator. That pushed the envelope
Yes.
alone.
Another Lovecraftian adaptation, yep.
And so, in terms of getting the story across, but pushing the envelope to give you something that you're gonna remember, whether you like it or not, you're gonna remember it.
Yeah. And I think it was sexploitation crossed over into horror films with the Ruffies, what they called the Ruffy films, and those pretty much supplanted the nudie cuties. The Ruffies were women in peril, women being kidnapped, women being raped, women being attacked or stalked or something of that nature. There was nothing cutesy about them, so that became and there was typically male violence against women, and the Ruffies gave way. That's where Herschel Gordon Lewis kind of came up. We talked about him last week. Herschel Gordon Lewis, David Friedman, Doris Wishman, who all really jumped on that until pretty much the golden age of pornography. Where hardcore porn became somewhat mainstream. The golden age of pornography pretty much killed it. And now, in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, it was just a trope that you could lean on, but you never were going to make a specific sexploitation film anymore. You can make sexploitative films, but they weren't going to be the focus of your work.
Yeah, they're just... they're not going to be, because once you hit the golden age of porn, and people's like, oh, well, if I just want to see tits, I can just go to the hardcore theater and just watch straight tits. And so it just became as like a niche thing. And I think
it's so interesting. A little bit of film history, and because you're talking about kind of the history of it. Is it? Do you remember? Do you remember?
Did you just bring up white coders?
White coders.
Yes.
No.
So in the '60s, because don't go there. But anyway, okay. So back in the '60s, in the late '60s, the American obscenity laws were put to the test by a Swedish film called I Am Curious, and when the Supreme Court ruled that film, that I Am Curious, was not obscene, and that was because of its educational content. So I'll let that sink in. The educational content of this basically it was what we would call a to us it'd be a softcore porn, but it was pornography. That's because in the late 60s and early 70s there was a number of sexploitation films that were produced with the format at the beginning of the movie would be a guy in a white coat dressed as a doctor who would give an introduction to the graphic content that qualified the film as educational. They call them white coders, and that these films that have this PSA at the beginning of them. That's how they got around the obscenity board, was dropping this thing as no. This is educational.
That's why I laughed so hard, because it was just so ridiculous that they just fucking this loophole was just so stupid.
Watch them,
but there was nothing they could do about it for a long time. It was like. It was a solid few years where they were just dropping softcore porn with the fucking doctor at the beginning.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, the Supreme Court knew what they were doing, because they're like, okay, we need to watch this film. And they're like, well,
nope, this
if
counts.
we rate it obscene,
old dudes fucking
then we
making
can't
these
see
laws. They're like, we gotta be
not
on top
obscene,
of this. We gotta
not
do
obscene.
something.
Nope.
Oh my god,
that.
this is genius.
Yep, this is your good.
It's good. It's education.
Yes. He's like, the Supreme Court's not stupid. They knew exactly what they were doing.
So cool. I mean, it was such an epic time in cinema, and obviously, this is what gave birth to the grindhouse theaters, and obviously a lot of drive-ins. Definitely the heyday. I would say it was interesting reading about. I didn't get to. I was young with you during at this time, so I didn't get to really experience it firsthand. But obviously, my dad did. His brothers did. Just how quickly within just about 20 years, 2 decades, that this area of cinema adapted and evolved and split off into various things. That tastes were changing so quickly that the industry had to adapt so extreme to eventually things just went from one direction, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 all these things are happening. Once they relaxed the censorship laws, and then all of a sudden everybody had to find their place and fall into their groove. So, just goes to show. Art should not be censored. Because now we have all of this before us. When back then, they would...
Yeah, having heart attacks in the fucking theater.
You imagine them in the 60s seeing the shit that we have today? Fuck. God damn.
Seeing that in color, too, by the way.
But, some of these directors, they are must-watches. I know that, what I would say, you can learn from any director that you watch. And, yeah, you can learn from Spielberg, you can learn from Cameron, you can learn from all the great directors that are out there. But some of these kind of like underground names, or the lesser-known names, you could definitely watch them and you can learn from them. I recommend it to anybody, especially newcomers into filmmaking. Absorb everything you can. Even these directors, or even producers like Herschel Gordon-Lewis, or Joe D'Amato, or Jesus Franco, any of these guys can definitely, or even Lloyd Kaufman. Lloyd Kaufman's a really, really good one. Jump in there and watch their stuff. Don't let it, just because it's low budget, just because it's of an older time period, you'll catch things. There are bits of genius throughout.
All the boobies.
Which is why I think I love them so much.
And see, and that's the thing is...
That and the boobies.
And the boobies. You want to make your film memorable. 500 plus films come out every year, and people remember 20. So seriously, people may see 20 or 30, I actually probably remember maybe closer to 10 to 15 films that come out that year. And the films that people remember, those are the filmmakers that continue on in their career. And so when you're sitting there and you hear about a film that came out in the 70s, oh man, it's a low budget film that came out in 1975. But you know what? There were at least 200 movies that came out in that 1975, and you're watching that one today.
Hell yeah.
There's a reason why it keeps coming up.
Exactly.
Whether it's good, it's bad, whatever.
And that brings me to a question.
That's the
for
most
the
important thing.
We just went over a lot of this sexploitation stuff. If you're into that kind of thing, because everybody is, you've probably heard a few of the bigger names in that category, the director-wise. I want to know who your favorite director is. It's sexploitation director. What's your favorite style in that? Like you said, it could be good, it could be bad, but you remember these movies. You have people like Andy Milligan, Carl Monson, Friedman. We've gone over a couple. Gene Roland, that's one that I've known.
Oh fuck, dude! Yeah, the dude who had the biggest balls, fucking Tinto Brass. He Brass balls. Yeah, he fucking directed Caligula.
Oh yeah,
and Caligula starred.
That was such a badass Italian motherfucker
in that movie. Like
Giovanni
that was
Tinto
legit,
Brass.
So.
God, you go to his Wikipedia, and I'm pretty sure the picture is still up of him like puffing on a cigar, just like a badass. Yeah. He's like, guess what? You don't like it. I'm gonna record it. I'm gonna make $1 million.
Like a fucking mob boss.
Who knows?
Boss of porn. It's fucking amazing. I hope he hears this.
I like you guys. You make a movie. Actress will fuck. You make a movie.
But let us know who's your favorite sexploitation director, and don't hold back. If you don't want us to shout you out on the show, let us know. But I'm pretty sure we can throw your name in there too. Drop us a line, weekendhorror@gmail.com. That's our last movie. I mean, how could you end any better than that? Ooh.
That is. How could we end any better? Eugene, you fucking tell him how we end this thing.
Let me tell you how you end this motherfucker better. We have one birthday, because we only need one birthday for this episode. Born June 22nd, 1958. The man, the myth, the legend himself.
The chin.
Bruce Campbell. Motherfucking
Yes.
Bruce Campbell. Ash himself. One of the greatest horror icons to ever grace the scene in several franchises. He's made this huge career, starting obviously with Evil Dead.
Well, this is where I'm curious. Because we all love Bruce Campbell so much. And one thing I wanted to ask, I was looking forward to this. How did you guys, and I'll tell you mine, but how did you guys first discover Bruce Campbell?
So I was actually at a friend's house, and he was actually already a big fan of the Evil Dead series, and he was like, "You got to check out this one movie. It's hilarious. If you see any movie, it has to be this movie." And I was like, "Well, it's the third one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the first two." He's like, "Nope, doesn't matter. Just watch it." And he put in Army of Darkness.
Sweet.
That was the first time I saw Bruce Campbell, and I was like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever!" Immediately went back and watched Evil Dead 1 and 2.
Before I knew how much of a legend he was, I saw a lot of his movies.
What about you, Alex? How did you first discover the
it
legend?
Just came up in my life, but I think, thinking back, when I see his face, the first movie that I ever think I saw him in was Maniac Cop from 1988. I think that was the first time I ever saw him, and I remember that movie being shown to me.
Oh,
Like,
nice!
What the fuck? Because I was young when I saw it. I was like, what the fuck? But I think that was Maniac Cop. And then Army of Darkness, I think, was probably the second one that I saw. It was definitely not Xena Warrior Princess. But I do remember him in there.
Oh, I love some Xena growing up.
Yeah. Fucking, you've seen Maniac Cop, right? Yeah, okay. But it just...
and
then you see Evil Dead and all this other
Yeah.
shit. He's just oh my god. Stop, you're making me excited.
Okay, so the first time I encountered the legend, but I didn't realize he was the legend that he was, because it is actually a two-parter, because there was a point where I saw him and he was just an actor. And so if we're going off that, the very first time was Evil Dead 2. So Evil Dead 2 was the first time I saw him, and so that's Bruce Campbell. The second time that I recognized, it was like, holy shit, and I began to take him seriously, was in Darkman. When I said, holy fuck.
Oh, yeah.
It was the very final shot when he's changed faces and he comes out in the crowd at the very, very end, and it's Bruce Campbell. And I was like, holy shit, and I recognized him. I was like, God damn it, I know that guy. And that's how I got into watching his stuff, and that's how I became a fan. And shortly after that was...
such a great fucking movie.
Or was I was a few years after that. I think it was 2 years after that.
He was in
Army
so much shit, and then he like pops up in like the X-Files.
It's
just
so
all throughout
good.
my life. This dude's like the same age as like my dad, so it's like I was thinking about that. I was like, could you imagine having somebody like that as your fucking dad? It would be so hard to talk to him because I'd just be so starstruck all the time.
I mean, it's just his career has just been so incredible, and so he actually got a start in. He went to high school with Sam Raimi, and that's
it was Raimi. There's a trio of them. Was it Tappert?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
there was three of them. He was one of three guys. Basically, he was the looks. Raimi was the brains. And the other guy was the money.
Yeah.
Is how that went down. Basically there were Robert Tappert. That was it. Robert Tappert, Bruce Campbell, and Sam Raimi, who were all friends in high school.
And they started making movies back in high school on like a Super 8 camera. And they actually shot a 30-minute, it was like a 30-minute proof of concept for Evil Dead to try to get, it was called Within the Woods, to like attract investors, and you know, obviously they're able to go and make Evil Dead. And even just the story alone of Evil Dead, of just, hey, we found this cabin, we're going to go make this movie, and then you get your buddies to go make a movie. I think that's like the dream case scenario of like any filmmaker.
Hell yeah. I love the fact that not only because obviously Evil Dead put him on the map, that's where it really landed. It's going there, but because then because Evil Dead 1981 establishes him as he could be a lead actor, he could be in the horror genre. But I think a lot of people listen to this, probably if you didn't see Evil Dead, if you weren't into horror, you probably remember him from Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. Yeah, was Briscoe County Jr., and then which he swiftly then went from there to Hercules, and then while in Hercules was in Lois and Clark, and then also on Xenoblade. So during this time, it was like in the early 90s, he was cranking it out on fucking television because he jumped from Briscoe County Jr. and he was on Hercules and he was on Lois and Clark and he was on fucking Xena, and just that's where he honed his craft. I love that he was busting it out in television at the same time that he was cranking out in movies. And going back and finding those episodes that he was in is so stellar because he always manages to bring one thing as an actor, one new thing to set his character apart. Because it could be small roles. They could be small roles, it could be one-offs, or as a character like Briscoe County Jr., I mean, he was fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm. He's somebody who he knew who his fan base was, and though he was able to take on so many different roles, a lot of those roles still appeal to that same fan base. Because when you're watching, like, oh, I watched Evil Dead and Army of Darkness growing up, and I watched Hercules and Xena. And so I constantly saw him in a bunch of stuff as I was growing up. So of course I'm going to become a huge fan. He's in a lot of things that I like.
Yeah, and so many fun things. I mean, and one thing that gets me in movies, as many times. I mean, obvious, he works with Sam Raimi a lot. So he was in Spider-Man films. He had little cameos in the Spider-Man films. But it shocks me as to how often he is able to just do like a cameo. Like how many times he just shows up as a cameo. It's all over his filmography. Spider-Man 2, The Lady Killers. And some of these are uncredited cameos. Intolerable Cruelty. The First Spider-Man. The Majestic. So many of these films where he was just in it for a brief moment. And that's got to be a blast. You don't see many named actors that you would recognizable actors that will do that. Will just pop in to be like, hey, here I am. Here's a face. And then they leave. Just real quick. And I think it's so fucking cool that he still does that to this day. We'll jump in there. I think his most recent one, we obviously the little cameo at the end of the Evil Dead remake, the 2013 Evil Dead. Just kind of popped in there like, hey. And he was even in Oz the Great and Powerful.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the guards.
It's just...
I love that. I just love that about him. That he has that energy and he has that love to go in there and just be like, hey, I'm Bruce Campbell, and now I'm out. And I'm good.
and that's what's so cool about him, because you're right. He'll go in and do a little cameo, like he was on Psych and The Librarians and Fargo, the TV show. He'll go do a cameo and then just pop up, but his cameos you remember. And maybe he's at a point now where he probably just does projects that he wants to do.
Well, it's weird because he had a cameo. He had a small cameo or in the Fargo, in the movie Fargo from 1996.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, an uncredited cameo in that because he's worked with and it wasn't the first time. I think he worked with Joel and Ethan Coen because he worked with them on Intolerable Cruelty as well. So, yeah, you can see from his filmography that the people who work with him love working with him. They work with him many, many times. So absolutely cool. And I loved his bits in some of the TV shows that I grew up with. Obviously, Hercules and Xena and Briscoe County. I loved his episode of The X-Files, where he was the demon trying to have a normal baby. He just wanted to know. It was weird that he winds up hooking up with another demon.
The name of that episode.
It's weird because there's a demon who pulls the same trick on his ass. It's hysterical.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Terms of Endearment.
Mm-hmm.
He played Wayne Weinsider. And he was because at first it looks like just a husband who's running around. He's got multiple wives all over the country because he's a salesman, but he's trying to have like a normal baby, but all the babies come out demonic. Or do they come out demonic? I can't remember. All the babies come out different, though. And he's like, "Oh, this is sad." And he ends up killing the kids, and then but then it turns out like one of his wives is a demon trying to have. No, he's trying to have a normal baby. He keeps having demon babies, so he keeps killing them and like burying them, and then until he runs across one wife who actually she turns out to be a demon, and she wants a demon baby.
Oh, how the turntables!
And then she winds up killing him and keeping the baby who is demonic. But yeah, the fact that he showed up on, God, I'm surprised he didn't show up on Buffy the Vampire Slayer because he was on Charmed.
Oh, of course.
Oh shit, a ton of shit on Robot Chicken, which is fucking awesome. And of course, we got to give him credit for Sam Axe. 111 episodes of Burn Notice that he did. He was fucking amazing on that show. And Sam Axe. And of course,
I hope so.
Ash vs. Evil Dead, which, damn you stars, got canceled too soon. But Netflix may save it. They might.
Come on, Netflix.
I don't know. They're trying to get him back for a 4th season. So maybe they
Come
will.
on, Netflix.
Sign the paper.
You can do it. We believe in you. Just say yes. Sign the paper. And accept greatness. That's all you have.
I do think it's really cool that he reprised that he basically last year.
Oh, I love that game.
One of the last video he did. I don't know how many people are familiar. If you guys are familiar with the video game Dead by Daylight.
Did he really?
You play the slasher. You play the survivors. He did the downloadable content as Ash Williams.
Oh, that's so cool.
Now I'm gonna go buy the DLC.
So he did the voice. He did the mocap. He did everything for Ash Williams in that game. So that's actually really, really cool. That was the. There you go.
It's so cool. I mean, you get to work with your friends. You get to do what you love. I mean, more power to them.
Happy birthday, Bruce.
Absolutely. So you know what? Happy birthday, Bruce.
Happy birthday, Bruce. All right, now that brings another episode of Week in Horror to a stunning conclusion. Thank you so much to our listeners. We could not do the show without your continued support. Be sure to visit us at weekinhorror.net. We've got all kinds of cool things there for you, especially our new mystery horror shirt giveaway. Throw in your email. You have a permanent entry to win a shirt, to win a mystery horror shirt at the end of each month when we do a drawing. If your email is in there, you're in that drawing permanently. Check that out. You can also give us feedback, comments, questions, love mail, hate mail. We don't care. Any mail. We're very, very lonely. Hit us up at weekinhorror@gmail.com. We love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. We love to hear what your suggestions are. And, of course, responding to anything that we brought up in the episode. We fucking love to hear from you guys. Shoot us one anytime. If you really, really love what we do, if you love listening to us talk about horror movies, or, maybe if you learn something, we try to impart a little bit of filmmaking knowledge along the way. Hit us up at Patreon, or patreon.com/weekinhorror. Our Patreons get early access, not excluded, early access to our Bloodbath debates and our After Dark sessions. Bloodbaths, where we nerdily debate 2 horror icons in a fight to the death. And of course, our After Dark sessions with our special guests once every month. You get early access to those. And we even have a $1 tier that you can subscribe to. I know money's tight right now. Times are uncertain. Things are a little bit crazy. But if you really would like to support us, you don't have to. You can support us at Patreon, or just hit that like button. Share the video out there. Subscribe to us. Every little bit helps. And we love the fact that you guys listen. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and get your daily splatter. Facebook.com/weekinhorror, Twitter @weekinhorror. You get your daily splatter, a little bit of horror knowledge every single day straight to your feed. You can check it out, maybe learn something new, hit us back. We're always active on our social media accounts. And of course, we are on YouTube. YouTube channel, Week in Horror. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications. We come out with new episodes every single week, and you'll get to hear all the cool shit that we're coming up with. Eventually, we'll have our Bloodbaths on there. Eventually, we'll have our After Darks, and eventually, hopefully, we'll start doing live content. It's going to be fucking sweet. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. We could not do this without you. We love you guys. I am JL.
I'm Eugene. We'll see you next week, and as always, stay scared.